We got a movie going for best comedy of the year, and it is The Predator. The Predator. So The Predator is the newest movie in the Predator franchise, directed by Shane Black, who directed Iron Man 3. That will be important in a bit. Basically, a new Predator comes to Earth, and then there's a bigger Predator who followed him, and there's one guy and his family, and his new unit. He's a military guy, so I guess they're a unit, but they're essentially crazy. They get caught in the middle, so they gotta kind of figure it out, get through it. Basic, really vague synopsis of a movie here. So it's a new Predator movie that, for the most part, takes place in the suburbs. I was like, I don't know. But there were some things that worked in this movie. When this movie gets down to it and you get yourself some good Predator gore, it's entertaining. I mean, it's mindless entertainment. It's just violent entertainment. But you can't help but smile. Pretty bloody fantastic in some scenes. Some kills actually make you laugh too. One kill in particular, I died laughing. It was hilarious. I'm gonna speak on the humor a lot here because the humor is a main part of this movie. I mean, this movie, if I had to classify it, I guess I'd classify it as a comedy. It's a little strange that this movie has this much humor. It being Shane Black, he did that with Iron Man 3. But that's me telling you, this Predator movie has MCU style humor in it. It's not just a little strange at times, it's inconsistent also. There's so much of that humor in this movie that at a point, when the movie wants to be a little more serious, the audience doesn't know how to take it. There was one scene that I felt like it wasn't supposed to be funny. It was actually supposed to be kind of sentimental. And half the audience chuckled, and the other half, you could just tell they were trying to figure it out. Like, was this supposed to be funny? Kind of like imagine for an hour and a half, you're in a car with somebody who's driving, and they're like, hey, you want to get a good dessert? I know a good place for dessert. Dessert, baby. It's really sweet. You're going to get yourself some dessert. Dessert, dessert, dessert. Get that in your head. You're going to get yourself some good, sweet dessert. For an hour and a half, and then you eat the dessert. It kind of tastes like French fries, which goes with milkshakes. I don't care what anyone says. Who doesn't dip their fries in milkshake? But the point is, if it doesn't taste like dessert, you're like, is it just bad dessert? Or is it a dessert at all? You're left trying to figure it out. It was that kind of inconsistent in parts. Action, blood, and humor. I could see, like, if Keegan-Michael Key was the one who was the comic relief, maybe him and Thomas Jane, then I feel like it would work better. Predator had that, which is funny because Shane Black, the director of this movie, was in the original Predator movie, and his character had some jokes. So it's like Shane Black, while directing this movie, was like, I'll take that one element of my character in the original Predator movie and make that every character in this Predator movie. I can stare at you bold-faced and tell you this movie had more humor than Doctor Strange. And I get it, like the MCU's made billions of dollars this year alone. But in Hollywood's quest to capture that lightning in a bottle, I would want them to know that that kind of MCU humor doesn't translate well to everything. It's a Predator movie. Predator is about this alien being who cloaks in the forest, hunts you, kills you, and rips your spine out. That's pretty frightening when you think about it. I don't know that it lends itself to the MCU style humor, but I kind of get it. Like, where else could they go with Predator? In the jungle. Seen it. In the city? Seen it. Isolated? In the Arctic, maybe? Seen it. Suburbs? Nope, seen it. Ha! Multiple predators, warring factions of predators. Seen it. Predator versus bigger predator in the suburbs? I don't know if that's different enough. Predator versus bigger predator in the suburbs, but it's funny. Oh, like Star Wars humor? MCU humor, baby. Pretty sure that's the same thing. They're gonna call it Predator humor when we're done with it. Yeah! Yeah! It's the only place they can go. They've done it all before. At that point, the question is, should they have? Like, if there was just a new movie about warring aliens who come to the suburbs and it just plays out like this movie, it's just not Predator, that'd probably be fine. But it's not an established franchise, so it's not marketable, and so Hollywood just doesn't really like doing that shit. They like making things that people already know because that's the thing to do. I feel like some of the jokes some people will find offensive, like some people on Twitter in Hollywood. I'm gonna narrow the bubble down. But I'm a sick in the head, heartless, soulless bastard, so I don't care. It made me laugh. Doesn't change the fact that at a point when you're seeing so much humor in this movie, it just comes across as kind of strange. I speak on the mixed signals this movie's throwing at us because there's this one guy, he's like the main government guy in the movie. You're supposed to see this guy as like this stone cold killer, like who we're supposed to be afraid of him. But I wasn't for so long because it was funny, he's cracking jokes. He's like this charismatic, likable guy you'd probably hang out with. Just how frightening this movie apparently was supposed to make this guy feel, to how frightening he actually came across was just, it was completely unbalanced. And that came from the fact that he was one of the many characters, by many, I mean every one of them in this movie, who was cracking jokes. Also, the people in this movie, I feel like they're idiots. Like, the logic doesn't make sense. Yeah, I'm looking for logic in a movie about aliens that turn invisible and hunt people. I know that can be the argument, but what I'm looking for is consistency in the rules, or at least consistency in judgment among people. when this super predator shows up on the scene, it's established early on that bullets really have little effect on it. So when everyone at the end of the movie is making their last stand with guns that shoot bullets, I just have to think they're idiots. They're morons. Like, who would make that call? They need Keanu Reeves from Constantine to come out of nowhere and be like, that's really not gonna help. Constantine, you remember she raised her gun to what she didn't know was a demon? He just said, that's really not gonna help. So right there, you're like, all right, guns are ineffective. Let's not use them. Like, do they need to be told? Do they not trust their eyes? So right there, I feel like it's the illusion of tension, not real tension. They might as well be unarmed. Guys, in the end, they did something new with Predator, which I get, doing new things. Like this, I've never worn this jacket in a video before. Kind of wanted to, because I've never done it before, and I like this jacket. Really, Predator's in a tough spot. It's a movie that happened, that turned into a franchise that happened. Well, what made it really cool was the fact that this thing was hunting them, and no one knew what it was. It was an invisible thing, and then it decloaks. You're like, it has a mask. What is it? And then it takes off its mask, and then you see what it is. But now everyone knows what the Predator looks like and what it is. So now instead of a thing hunting people, this thing's kind of a brute. Like, imagine a movie that's about a ninja, and that's what made it cool. This thing hunts in the shadows, dude kills people stealthily. But then decades later, they make a new one with a bigger ninja that's not actually a ninja, that doesn't hunt in the shadows. This thing's like a tank just strolling up slaughtering people. I don't know what to say. It's less cool. This movie's entertaining, but the last act ended kind of anticlimactic, and the very last scene happened, and I was like, what's this shit? There's enjoyment in this movie. It's probably more enjoyable if you're drunk. Yeah, now it's a part. Well, what to do? Well, we'll give you the Predator soundtrack. Stop that mind manipulation shit. I see what you're doing, new Predator movie. Using the old Predator theme, that's a cheap move. But I also know why they're doing it. They're doing it to manipulate the audience, so the audience forgets those parts that don't feel like Predator. All right, so The Predator, have you seen it? What did you think about it? Or what's your favorite to least favorite Predator movies? That includes AVP, if you want to include them. Whatever they are, whatever you think, comment below, let me know. And as always, if you like what you've seen here and you want to see more, click right here to see more.